Determine the center and radius of the sphere whose equation is given here, and describe the intersection of the sphere with each of the coordinate planes. These are called the traces, and we want to find the intersection of the sphere with the xy plane, the xz plane, and the yz plane. So when you take a sphere and you intersect it with a plane, then you could expect to get a circle. However, it's also possible that the plane doesn't intersect the sphere at all, and it's also possible that the plane intersects the sphere, in exactly one point, so that the plane would be tangent to the sphere at that point. So these traces are either going to be circles, like the one we see here, or maybe there will be no trace, or it might be a point. So first, let's determine the center and radius of this sphere. So we have x squared minus 2x plus y squared plus 12y. And we have plus z squared minus 8z, and this is equal to negative 37. Now complete the square in each variable. X squared minus 2x plus 1 plus y squared plus 12y plus 6 squared is 36, plus z squared minus 8z plus 4 squared is 16, equals negative 37 plus 1 plus 36 plus 16 plus 1 plus 36 plus 16. And this gives us x minus 1 squared plus y plus 6 squared plus z minus 4 squared is equal to, this is exactly 16. These two add 37 and cancel. So our sphere has a center. Remember the equation of a sphere with center at HKL is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared plus z minus l squared is equal to the radius squared. So our center is at 1, negative 6, 4. 1, negative 6, 4. And our radius, this is the square of the radius, so our radius is 4. 4. Okay, now let's find the traces. What is the intersection of this sphere with the xy plane? In the xy plane, z is equal to 0. So we will put z equal to 0, and we get x minus 1 squared plus y plus 6 squared plus negative 4 squared is 16 equals 16. And we get 0. So x minus 1 squared plus y plus 6 squared is equal to 0. That equation only has one solution in the xy plane, and that is that x, this quantity must be 0, and this quantity must be 0 since their sum is 0, and these two quantities being perfect squares are non-negative. So that means x has to equal 1, and y has to equal negative 6. And as we said, z was equal to 0. So the trace is simply the point 1, negative 6, 0. So this sphere is, we see that the z coordinate of the center is 4. So the z coordinate is 4, and that means that this point is 4 units up from the xy plane. So the xy plane is down here. Our center is 4, our radius is 4, and so it makes sense then that the xy plane intersects in exactly one point. So the trace is just a single point, and it is this point. What about in the xz plane? In the xz plane, the y coordinate is equal to 0. So here is our sphere. Let's put a box around our equation of our sphere here. And now plug y equal to 0 in there. And we can see that, let's see, the center point has a y coordinate of -6, and the radius is only 4. So I don't think this one's going to touch the xz plane because it's too far away. The center point is 6 units from the xz plane, and the radius is only 4. Let's see. So we're going to put y equal to 0. We get x minus 1. So this was the trace in the xy plane. We'll call that the xy trace. And now we're looking at the xz trace by letting y equal 0. 0 plus 6 is 6. Squared is 36. Plus z minus 4 squared. Put that equal to 16. Subtract this over, and we get x minus 1 squared plus z minus 4 squared is equal to -20. And that's just impossible because this is non-negative plus non-negative, giving us a negative number. So there is no intersection. There is no intersection. Okay, for the last one, the trace in the xz plane, the trace in the yz plane, we have to let x equal 0. And the x coordinate of our center is 1, and the radius is 4. So this plane should cut through the sphere, giving us a circle. So we have to let x equal 0 in this equation, and this should give us a circle in the yz plane. If x is 0, then this number will become 1. When we move it over here, we'll get a positive number, 15. And so the yz trace is y plus 6 squared plus z minus 4 squared. Remember, I put x equal to 0 here, so that makes a 1. Subtract it over equals 15. So this is a circle in the yz plane with center -6, 4, and the x coordinate of the center is 0, and the radius is the square root of 15, because this is the radius squared. So if we were ignoring the x coordinate altogether, then the center would be at -6, 4. But we're in 3 dimensions, so in the yz plane, the x coordinate by default is 0. So our center is 0, -6, 4. This is a circle. It lives in a plane, but that plane happens to be sitting in 3 dimensions. So it had an x coordinate. So we have 3 different planes intersecting our sphere. One of them intersected in a circle. Another one didn't intersect at all. And the third one intersected in a single point. And those are all of the possibilities when you intersect a sphere with a plane.